fuck funding bids. Wicked Witches, I have been requested by Patreons on my Patreon account, it's Jolly Booth if you want to check it out, to share a few different things, but one of them is to share my creative practice, because I'm just starting to write a book, and it's my 4th novel and the 3rd in a series called Saturn Returns, where I write a book every 7 years. And I began on my first proper Saturn Returns, which was when I was 28 turning 29, which is when Saturn returns to your birth chart. And Saturn's like the hard taskmaster, the strict teacher, the one with the stick rather than the carrot. And I'm ruled by Saturn. I'm Capricorn, and I'm very Capricorn. I've got Capricorn everything except for rising, which is Sagittarius, which is why I don't see in Capricorn, but everything back there is Capricorn. Except for Venus, which is Scorpio. Oops. So I'm very affected by Saturn, and if you're ruled by Saturn, I think Libra is as well, then every 7 years, like the quarters of the cycle of the 28.5 year cycle, you get affected by. And I really am. Every 7 years, it's like my life changes a chapter. When I was seven, I realised I'd been abused. I'd actually been abused when I was 5, but I was 7 when I realised I'd been abused. I was 14 when I was 15 when my parents split up. Like, it's always kind of either side of the year. So I was 15 when my parents split up. I was 21 when I had an abortion that made me really ill and led to me doing an ayahuasca ceremony and moving to Brighton, which was all crazy, splitting up with a long-term boyfriend. And then 28 was my first novel, The Girl Who Ruled the World, and I end up in a weird kinky S&M relationship as someone's sex slave and get out of that. And then the next one, 35, I'm married and doing IVF, and it's the last round of IVF, and we find out that it's unsuccessful, so then end up not having children. And so this one is 42, which in theory I was going to call The Meaning of Life. That was always the title for it, because 42 everyone knows is the meaning of life, and this is my meaning of life year. And I'm not sure yet whether I'm writing 2 books or 1, because the Esmeralda books, the Saturn Returns books, are quite outrageous, like really quite outrageous. And so it's a certain readership, and I've got followers who like to read those books, and I feel like probably there's 2 books. There's one which is The Meaning of Life, which is for the Saturn Returns series, and then there's another one which I think needs to be more whimsical and written for my new friends and followers who I met through the pilgrimage, who are much more sensitive souls, I would say, and are not necessarily interested in Esmeralda's like dirtier, darker side. I feel like there's a kind of more whimsical nature book requesting to be written, which I'm going to call Walking with Autumn, because that's what I walked with on the pilgrimage, and that's going to be basically about the pilgrimage. So I think there's 2 books. I have basically written 2 books. I've written the whole The Meaning of Life novel already, and then went on the pilgrimage. So like there is actually enough content for another book already, and then I could kind of follow that on into me being here. So I'm just trying to make the decisions at the moment as to what is in what book, and yeah, I think I might have accidentally written 2 novels, or I'm in the process of writing the second one, but I'm quite far into it already. I've done 100 pages already. So the request was to share my creative process, and oh my fucking days. So I had 2 weeks earmarked for January, and to go right brain, like I know scientifically that the left brain, right brain thing isn't a thing. That's not true. All of your brain activates and does stuff at different times. That's all made up. But it feels like left and right brain, and it's the best way of using words to describe the feeling. I guess it's like inner and outer is the other way of looking at it. We all have to live in this outer world, and in my outer world, I write funding bids for people, and I have to write cash flows, and I have to do budgets and I have to do all of these ridiculously annoyingly shit things that I hate doing, but I can do them. So like that's part of how I make a living. We all have to do things we don't want to do to make a living. But when I earmark time for creativity, I can't do creative and cash flow. You just can't do it. You have to do one or the other. I am capable when I'm in like Edinburgh, just about, but it breaks me. Oh my God, it broke me so much. I was in Edinburgh doing a show, and I am able to perform and then also be producing it. I have done that. It's not fun though. It's not fun. It is possible to do, but you do both of them badly. You produce badly and you perform badly because you are being pulled one way and the other. But, you know, life is life, and sometimes you have to do it. And I had to do it. Oh, that was just hardcore, doing sisterhood at Edinburgh while I was flying and managing everything and losing 15 grand. I lost 15 grand, ripped a calf muscle, like it just went poing out of nowhere. And so I did like the last 10 days on a walking stick, on crutches, not able to put my foot down, literally hobbled out of that festival. It was horrific. So I wouldn't recommend that. But yeah, it is possible to go left to right, but it's not fun. And your body and the universe tells you not to do it and says, back off. So the first step, the first rule to Creativity Club, don't talk about Creativity Club. Second rule to Creativity Club is don't let anything get in its way. I had these 2 weeks marked out, and day 3, which is the worst day because it takes a couple of days for your body and brain to trust that you're not being asked to do spreadsheets anymore, and to be like, all right, we're being creative, and to start like descending into the inner world. I found out that we were eligible for some Arts Council funding, the Recovery Culture Grant, and we literally were writing it up to the deadline today at midday. We were there 4 minutes to when we submitted it. I mean, I'll be amazed if we get it because it was like so last minute. We weren't able to read back through it or anything. We had to just do it. But, you know, you can't turn down £26,000 if we're able to get it. We need it. So fingers crossed. I mean, there's going to be a wing and a prayer, but maybe, who knows. But that crash landed into my creative week. I was writing and I was doing fooling. They work together. And instead I did 2 days of writing, had literally had to drag my brain, like as if you're dragging something from the bottom of a pond covered in weeds. That's what it felt like. Drag my brain back into left brain. And I was on the phone to my friend, just like, I need you literally to just sit here and hold my hand while I do this, because I'm short-circuiting. I actually can't do this. Which she did, and it was great. And with her just talking through it, because right brain, you can talk through things, like it needs to be sort of done verbally, visually. Like I couldn't just look at a screen and work out how to do it. So I needed that support. Managed to do it. Then was doing the fooling over the weekend, and I was so blocked. Like I was teaching it, so it wasn't about me. It was about the participants who were brilliant, and it's for the pilgrimage. It's working with the Sensory Sisters, who are the herbalism teachers that I adore and work with and have become good friends, which I'm very chuffed about. And they are learning fooling so they can use all of their experience as herbalists and knowing the plants intimately as characters to then perform the herbs as living things. And I was teaching them the structure, but oh God, I was so surface with what I was doing, and just like, even like, I taught them the whole structure in a day. You can't do that. It takes a lot longer than that to teach the structure. So I was really skimming. But I mean, they also were getting it because they're very open and archetypal people. So to an extent, it was also because they were quick learners. But I felt like I was doing a really bad job of it. And then Monday, I had to do admin and funding bid stuff and stuff for the pilgrimage. And now today, till midday, again, was writing. So that's the Tuesday on the second week of the 2 weeks that I had earmarked. So I'm going to now take another 2 weeks. I'm taking 2 weeks from now. I'm going to carry on my creative process. And these 2 weeks are now completely precious, and I'm not going to let anyone get in the way, and it's vital. So that is step number 1, is really fight for your time. And I know that that's difficult when you've got children, and I know it's difficult when you've got a spouse. I normally go away. So when I was living with my husband, the easiest way to actually have 2 weeks to properly do this was to go away. And I'll go away somewhere really beautiful. I'd like hire an Airbnb for 2 weeks and just stay somewhere with a lovely garden, outdoor space where I could go and walk and contemplate and be. And there's like a whole bunch of other things that I'll share with you, but this is number one. Carve out your space. Make sure no one's going to interrupt you and make it really special. And don't let anything get in the way. I've got a fucking board meeting on Friday. But yeah, I've done everything that needs to be done for that. So I just literally need to turn up. But that's the only thing that I'm letting in during these 2 weeks. So just be really strict and keep those 2 weeks clear. And yeah, that's tip number one. Tip number two will be coming to you shortly.